Okay, so today I'm talking about reactive abuse. Why and how narcissists train you, yes, systematically train you using classical conditioning or punishments and rewards to lock that behavior into your nervous system. We're going to talk about 3 destructive reasons that are behind this pattern that they set up in you. And reactive abuse can be so confusing because it literally makes you feel like you are the problem. It makes you question yourself. It makes you ask the question, am I the narcissist? Because the truth is that you know that the behaviors that come with reactive abuse are not you. They're not the real you, but you notice yourself doing it. So it can be extremely confusing. So my goal by the end of this video is to help you to not only know and understand thoroughly why this happens, but also what you can do to start breaking out of this pattern. So that being said, let's dive in.
For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner and the founder of the School of Transformation, which I consider to be like nervous system rehab. As a trauma survivor myself, I know exactly what it's like to have to rewire your whole nervous system so that instead of staying stuck in protection, you can step into authenticity and connection. And I teach everything that I learned along the way in the School of Transformation. So if you're looking to do the inner work to heal in a community, I invite you to check out the School of Transformation. There's currently a 30% off sale, giving you 7 to 9 meetings each month for only $77. Here's the link for you to check it out.
So reactive abuse begins when you are provoked over and over again until, in other words, it does not stop, it does not let up until you react. So maybe you throw something, maybe you scream, maybe you just break down in tears and fall on the floor. And then suddenly the narcissist that was provoking you, and by the way, the narcissist is always on the drama triangle. Everything they do, they're operating from the drama triangle. I did a whole video on this, so I'll leave that link there for you to understand this better. What they're actually doing with reactive abuse is getting on the drama triangle. They're in the role of persecutor and they're poking and poking until you snap. Now they switch roles. You look like the persecutor, they fall into the victim. Like, how could you act like that? How could you do something like that? And they point the finger at what you're doing, which is easy to feel guilty for because you know that's not really you anyway. And so you're looking at your behavior like, what in the world? But what you may not be realizing is that that reaction is actually a survival response. Your body trying to exercise a healthy fight response, but it doesn't know how to do that yet because maybe you grew up in an environment where you were never allowed to stand up for yourself. You were never allowed to have boundaries. And so the provoking is getting to the point where your body wants to defend itself, but because it doesn't know how to do so in a healthy way, it overreacts. And the narcissist is counting on that. Think of it this way. Imagine somebody is poking your arm, right? This kind of throws me back. Yes, I'm showing my age here, but it throws me back to The Simpsons. Do you remember when his sister would be poking him and he'd be like, quit it, ouch, quit it, ouch, quit it, right? But that constant provoking, eventually you want to push the person away. That's not being abusive, that's protection. The problem is that it's an out of proportion protection when it's happening with narcissistic abuse. Reason number 1 is because reactive abuse is actually a fight trauma response. So when we have a trauma response that has not been completed, that is unhealed, the nervous system gets stuck in that trauma response. And guess what, guys? Narcissists are stuck in a fight trauma response. Rather than doing their work to heal, they use you as a way to regulate themselves. If they can provoke you to fight, to be in that stuck survival energy that they sense in themselves, then in their brain, it like fools their brain to thinking, oh, wait a second, I thought that was me, but no, I see them being reactive and fighting and combative. Oh, I'm the victim now. I'm the good one. The reality is that being in fight mode 24/7 is absolutely exhausting. And they feel that exhaustion. So they provoke you into fight mode so that they basically hand you their stuck survival energy so that they can have a sense of calm inside. It's like they're saying, hey, can you carry this for me? And then the result is you get trained to carry their anger, their explosiveness, their aggression, and you end up embodying what's not even yours. The second reason they not only provoke you to be reactive, but they need you to be reactive is because it supports their story. It supports the false reality that they're living in their mind. They need you to be the unstable one. And so they will especially provoke and provoke right before you're going to be around other people, other family members, flying monkeys, any social situation. They need you to look unstable. And so it's at those moments where they will poke and poke strategically, specifically, and oftentimes you don't even realize when you get into that social situation, you're probably thinking, oh, everyone's going to see who they are now. But the reality is that you're so dysregulated when they do this, when you're in those social situations, that you don't notice they switch. They become very calm. Why are they so calm? They just handed you all of their discomfort and you're carrying it now for them unconsciously. You may not even notice this, but people notice. They're like, wow, so-and-so so calm. Their poor significant other is such a mess. And they have no idea what's happening behind closed doors and what just happened right before that event. Honestly, this is like psychological warfare. They are basically using your nervous system's response to paint a distorted picture in the minds of other people. One where you're the problem and they're the reasonable, amazing one. The third reason they need you to be reactive boils down to one word, and that's power. It keeps you from being your authentic self. There is nothing more powerful to the narcissist than to feel like they have the power over you to keep you from being the best version of yourself, your true self. When you're in reactive abuse, you're not grounded, you're not centered, you're not authentic. And so that suits the narcissist because they're never authentic. They are always 24/7 living in a trauma response. And if they can't be authentic, they don't want you to be authentic either. So if you're like, okay, Michele, I get it. It makes complete sense. What am I supposed to do about it? Well, the first thing to understand is that oftentimes narcissistic relationships are made up of two people that form one personality. I kind of think of it like a coin. We have your heads, you have your tails. Narcissistic relationships, there's often an extreme side of being really high on the narcissism scale and then an extreme side of being on the codependency scale, and both are regulating through each other unknowingly. The narcissist is stuck in the fight trauma response. I need to control you in order to feel safe. And the codependent is stuck in the fawn response. I need to placate you in order to calm you down so that I can stay safe and connected. Both people are operating from a trauma response. Now here's the thing, real healing begins when we start working with our own trauma responses to heal our trauma responses instead of regulating with somebody else. Now, I didn't realize I did that when I was codependent. I did not realize I did that, but it was eye-opening and life-changing for me to stop trying to get the narcissist to change to find safety and to actually start creating safety from within. Now, it's a lot easier said than done because working with your fawn trauma response means learning how to step into your own agency. It means learning how to be comfortable when somebody else is uncomfortable. It means not getting pulled into somebody else's dysfunction, but holding your own ground and staying true to your own authenticity despite how somebody else is. And that takes time, patience, and oftentimes co-regulation, someone else to help us with our nervous system regulation. And that's exactly why I formed the School of Transformation. My work started with shining the light on narcissistic abuse so that people could understand what these dynamics, not only what they look like, but what they do to you on the inside. But learning about the narcissist and their manipulation and their tactics, while it gives you validation, while it helps you to understand and notice it, it does not heal the damage and the trauma responses and the stuck survival energy that are stuck inside of you. And so in the School of Transformation, we put the focus on our nervous system. We learn how to regulate our nervous system. We learn how to build the capacity to hear the story that is stuck in the body and to process and release it so that we can show up in our relationships, our relationship with ourselves, and in life as who we truly are instead of who the trauma turned us into. So if you're ready to take the next step to do that deep inner work in a community where you can get that co-regulation and life support, I invite you to join me live every week on Zoom.